Yeah, we're gonna be really huge, but
That's okay.
all right.
Okay, hi everyone. So for this first presentation, we'll be hearing from Dr. Fernando Salvetti from LogosNet, and he'll be presenting a study that used VR and AR to simulate an interactive learning opportunity.
Thank you, Christine. Hello, everybody. I'm currently in Spain inside an airport lounge because unfortunately I was not able to attend as a physical speaker this year in New York due to a previous engagement here in Sevilla, Spain. I hope my location could be good enough for you, at least my background. And I'm speaking also on behalf of my fellow colleagues and partner, Barbara Bertagni, as well as on behalf of Roxanne Garner and Rebecca Meinhardt, that are both the two professors from the Harvard Medical School, because they were not able to join us as well, like Barbara. So it's me, on behalf of all our team, and I would love to share right now couple of slides, then a couple of videos about an experience that is a medical simulation into the cloud, a cooperative activity based on a checklist and a mnemonic known as name, claim, aim, that was designed and is still being in use in Boston within the Massachusetts General Hospital, as well as within the Harvard Center for Medical Simulation. So let me share my screen. And these are our names, just in case you would love to reach us after this presentation to know more, maybe to be delivered with videos and documents about this experience. And what really makes, from our perspective, quite interesting the experience is that is virtual reality within a glasses-free in-cloud environment. So no glasses, and the same engine, multimedia graphic engine that is called Unity. That is the one that usually you can find behind the video games, as well as within head-mounted displays. Not in our case. Not in our case because crisis resource management, this is the main focus of this experience, means mainly working as a team, looking at each other within the same physical premises, or sometimes looking and talking at each other even if remotely, working around the same issue or the same challenge. So usually the head-mounted displays are not the best device to develop team spirit and team effectiveness. So we decided a few years ago to develop, to design, to experiment a solution cloud-based today. In the past was only a desktop application, enabling at the highest level, the highest possible level, interaction among teammates within an artificial environment, because it's designed by virtual reality, but glasses free. This is what makes quite unique the environment. As you can see, we are entering a digital classroom. This classroom is mirroring a real classroom that is still there in Boston, Massachusetts. When COVID arose last year, we decided to mirror virtually the classroom and to keep going all the medical simulation activities online, really into the cloud, trying to keep as much as possible all the tools that we were and still are used to work with inside the physical classroom. In this case, we are about to look at Roxanne Garner and a number of other faculty from Harvard Medical School and from the University of Toronto, mainly in Canada, working within an alpine environment, trying to take care of an injured lady. Let's start these 3 or approximately 4 minutes video.
Hi, Barbara. Sorry to interrupt. Is this supposed to have sounds in the video? Hi, Barbara. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, so you did a really good question, and it's a question that Sue and I have argued about.
Hi, Barbara. We cannot hear the sound from the video. Or is it supposed to be any sound?
There is background sound and noise. I do not know what
So,
this sound is.
So the video is quiet, right?
I stopped the video, but me too. I'm listening to some background noise.
Oh, okay. So there's no sound for the video. That's okay, right?
The video so far was animated with people talking. I do not know if you were able to listen to the video.
Yeah, we weren't able to hear the sound from the video.
Oh no! So let me try again.
Okay.
Just a moment, because
Sure.
it's a video, it's a spoken video.
Okay.
Restarting.
This is the eReal platform, which is where we'll see the scene. So it looks like a you see a ceiling and a floor. It appears like a room. There are 3 walls you can see. On the 2 side walls, you can see there are some cognitive aids for managing critical events. The name, claim, aim is represented in different forms there. So anything, Jenny, should I add anything else? Is that okay?
That sounds great, Rebecca.
Perfect. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and start, and I'll hand over to Francine.
Am I going to be okay? Ah! Oh my God, I'm hurt. Please help me. Is there someone that can help me? Oh. Oh. Ah! Oh my God, I'm in pain. Help me, please. I think I'm bleeding from my forehead. My foot's killing me.
Oh, hello, miss. We're a group of colleagues from the local hospital. We're going to help you. Please don't move. Just wait a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay, team.
It's very hard to not move. I'm in pain.
Yeah. Just stay there, and you'll be okay. Okay, yes. Team. I'm going to name the situation. We have an injured woman with a head wound, a sprained or fractured ankle, and we are in a remote area.
Okay.
So I'm going to claim I can take charge, but I'm going to need your help and ideas for best management here. Is that okay with you guys?
Sure, of course. Sir. We'll help you.
Let's go.
Okay.
What do you want me to do?
So Nacho, can you contact the park ranger?
Okay, I'm going to chat and I'm going to text the rescue team.
Okay, Clément, can you attend to the patient?
Yes, I'm going to take care of her.
And Christian, what's your idea on what to do next?
Well, I think we have to be very careful. Take her out of here. It's dangerous, and we need to bring her to a hospital. So what I could do is create something to carry her away. What do you think?
Okay, that's a good idea. So the aim here is really to move her out of the trail safely and meet the park rangers on the way. Does anyone have any other ideas, or am I forgetting something?
That's fine. I'm calling to the rescue team. I'll let you know what happens. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll be right back with the stretcher. Oh, here it is. Here's my stretcher.
Hello, miss.
Okay.
Is there any other thing that your forehead and ankle that's hurt you?
What, my forehead? My forehead hurts.
Okay.
I think I'm bleeding.
From where?
From my head. It feels like blood is dripping down my head.
Okay, I'll have a look at that.
And my ankle hurts.
Okay, I'll try to make something for you.
Oh, am I going to be okay?
Yes, you're going to be okay. Have you any medical or health?
So I got a message from the park ranger. They can be here in 2 hours. What do you think we should do?
Okay, so I think at this point, so I think.
I'm back, but I'm not sure that you can.
Hi. Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
I'm back. You
What's the
can
problem?
hear me?
Yes.
Something wrong happened with the platform. I went disconnected, and the stop button was not working.
Okay.
But at least now I'm here again. I hope you were able to look at the video. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. So you have about 10 minutes left for your presentation. 10 to 15 minutes if you want to save time for Q&A.
Yes.
I'll let you continue your presentation.
I can go further. There is a lot of background noise.
Oh, okay.
I hope.
Sorry, you have about 10 to 15 minutes left for your presentation if you want to save time for Q&A. So I'll let you get back to it.
Okay. I'm sharing again my screen. So, okay. Now you can see what the people online were mainly dealing with and working with. That is this checklist, name, claim, aim. They were cooperating and interacting among themselves as a team in order to be compliant with such a checklist, and they were cooperating within such a virtual environment that is a glasses-free environment, enabling at the highest possible level team cooperation in order to have all the teammates learning how to behave within such a common framework, because as a mnemonic and as a checklist, in this way they are able to share the basic guidelines to manage unforeseen situations, usually challenging situations as an interprofessional medical team, that may occur outdoor or indoor, in this case outdoor inside an alpine environment. And the avatar was partly programmed as an artificial intelligence based agent in order to interact dialogically with the people that were trying to manage the situation. Partly was left under the direct control and management of the colleague of mine, Roxanne Garner, who was performing as an actress with the avatar in order to provide, let's say, some human touch within this specific type of online environment. So let's go further and let's take a look at the beginning of the scene when the avatar was performing as an artificial intelligence. You can see there are highlighted in gray a number of phrases that are like from a movie, because we are used to design medical or healthcare scenarios, thinking that a scenario is like a short movie. Characters have to be enabled to interact on a verbal communication stage with real human beings, and they are in need to be programmed in order to have them understanding specific keywords, like Siri, like Alexa, like the vocal assistants. We are in need to have those avatars performing in a way that they can understand questions like what's your name, or is the pain constant on a scale from 1 to 10, how much does it hurt, and so and so. 30, 40, 50 questions and answers usually are enough to have a team virtually working and cooperating in order to learn how to approach a difficult situation. Usually are a very close situation because are procedural situations where people, the real people attending the online learning session, are expected to learn how to manage a crisis using and following a common checklist or mnemonic. Comparing these types of learning experience with other learning experiences that usually occur inside a head-mounted display, what we are figuring out is that the level of cooperation among the classmates is the highest possible because virtual reality that happens inside head-mounted displays usually ask people to perform as solo players. In this case, people, even if they are attending remotely, may look at each other and may develop a number of cooperative actions that are really enabling teamwork in a way that usually is not the same if we think a more traditional learning setting, or if we work using the typical virtual reality tools. And I'm approaching a similar but partly different scenario. In this case, we are skipping the room, we are skipping the side walls. We have the same avatar that is totally immersed within a 360 degrees scenario, like in a video game. There are a number of tools. As you can see, people are expected to write, to highlight, to pop up post-its, to exchange tips and notes. People are expected with navigation arrows, in this case, to explore 360 degrees in an immersive way the scenario. And people are expected, like we saw during the video, to directly talk and interact with the avatar. So people are really enabled to live an immersive and interactive experience in a way that is way over from more traditional online simulation, where people still today are not really enabled to interact both with real humans and with digital humans, like in this case. Last but not least, let me share a second and last cut from a video. So I have to stop sharing my video, and in a few seconds I will start a movie. Just opening the link on YouTube. So you can take a look for 10 seconds or so to the same avatar introducing herself.
Hello, I'm Anna, a virtual human. I'm designed to help people improve their competencies through role play. You know, virtual reality and artificial intelligence can help scale and create a very effective experiential learning. Play with me in order to improve your emotional intelligence. I can play different roles in different scenarios. Just a click and I change my location. I can be your colleague, your patient, your client, your boss, your visitor. Anything that can help you in your practice. And most importantly, I can express emotions just like you. Work with me and you will learn how to deal with angry people, or we can share the same happy moment. You can practice your empathy and how to deal with emotions in a powerful and engaging way. So I look forward to meeting you for a demo. Wishing you all the best.
Wait, I think you're muted.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was saying that she was the same avatar, Anna, program in this case to introduce herself and really inviting people to interact with such a character that is able and programmed to change the emotional mood that she may display, as well as the pace and the tone of the voice. So today we are closing this experience all together remotely, talking about such an avatar, Anna, that is flexible enough to allow a type of simulation or simulated experience online. It's quite immersive and interactive. We are mainly working with this type of avatars so far within medical simulation, as well as sometimes within corporations, because usually it's a type of simulation that is in need to be highly customized and to engage learners with highly customized environments where they can interact, talk to both digital and real humans in ways that are strongly linked to the behavioral skills development. I think that we are at the end of our time, so please, if you have questions, if you have comments, feel free to interact using the chat or as you prefer, maybe also with your real voice. And as well, feel free to send me an email or ping me in order to talk later today or during the coming days about this experience. Thank you so much for attending.
Okay. So
Okay.
if there aren't any questions, we'll move on to the second presentation.
Okay.
Okay. So
Let me move from this place to another one.
okay, I'll do the introduction while you move your location.
Thank you.
So for anyone just joining us, my name is Christine. I am the chair, the session chair. Right now, we're listening to Dr. Fernando Salvetti, who is the founder and managing partner of LogosNet, based in Houston, Texas. So for the next presentation, he will be talking about the Community Medic Corps program at George Washington University. So you are welcome to start whenever you're ready and situated. And yeah, you have 30 minutes for your presentation.
Okay. I'm up to my new set. Just a moment. Okay. Here I am again, guys. Thank you again for attending with me this presentation. And we are about to take a look at a very innovative solution designed and developed by the George Washington University, the healthcare school in Washington, D.C. To my knowledge, in my previous experience, I never saw such a solution. It's really the first time because we are talking of a mobile STEM lab. It's a big truck, it's really a big truck that was built purposely to engage high school students for STEM education within an immersive and interactive learning setting. Let me share a quick just a second, copy and paste the link from YouTube.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kevin O'Connor. I'd like to take the time to tell you about an innovative project I hope you'll support. The Community MediCorps program, developed by the GW School of Medicine and Health Sciences, will transform how high school students in Northern Virginia study life and health sciences for in-demand careers. The flagship of the program is a high-tech immersive learning center. This mobile STEMH lab features both virtual and augmented reality to immerse students in real-life environments for hands-on collaborative learning. The MediCorps program serves students from ACPS, APS, and FCPS. The program provides mentorships, internships, and community service outreach.
Hi, and welcome to the Community MediCorps Program's Immersive Learning Center.
I'm Terry Capshaw from the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences, and my colleague, Dr. Linda Zanin, and I are the co-directors of MediCorps. We're excited you're here. This mobile center is going to provide innovative experiences that will bring the health sciences to life. Dr. Zanin is going to tell you more about the center and the really cool programming that you're about to experience.
You're about to be immersed into environments where simulated objects are superimposed on these walls. You're going to be able to interact with avatars to explore the life and health sciences. These experiences will accelerate innovative ideas and collaboration.
Thanks, Linda. You will occasionally see our GW George Explorer mascot appear throughout activities. George will lead you in new directions. George, do you want to say a few words?
Hi there. I can't wait to help you explore our activities. You're going to have fun and learn a lot. I'll see you around.
Thanks, George. One last bit of business. We'd like to acknowledge Go Virginia and GW for funding this project, and we appreciate our regional school systems for partnering with us. Now let's get started.
My leg!
Hi, it's Miss Marjorie, the athletic trainer, and this is Dr. Nelson, the team, and Graciela, our student aide. You're Sean, right? Can you tell me what hurts?
Yes, I'm Sean. I hurt my leg.
Which leg?
My right one.
Do you know what happened to it?
I was running with the ball and I got hit really hard on my leg. It felt like my ankle rolled when I fell.
Did you feel anything pop or crack?
Maybe, but it happened so fast.
Do you have any numbness or tingling in your foot or toes?
No, it just hurts a lot.
Hey guys. Yes, I'm addressing to you. Let's agree about the next question. What do you suggest to have me asking our athlete? 1. Do you have any medical problems? 2. How bad does it hurt on a 0 to 10 scale? 3. Can you move your foot? 4. Did you faint?
Please take your choice all together and press the button. Great decision, guys.
How bad does it hurt on a 0 to 10 scale? 0 means no pain and 10 means an emergency.
8 or 9.
Okay, let me know if anything hurts when I feel your leg.
Ow!
The vision behind the Community MediCorps project emerges from a large-scale collaborative effort supported by diverse stakeholders. This partnership model with secondary education, community colleges, and four-year institutions will better prepare our future workforce. A shared goal of the Community MediCorps is to inspire youth to explore and connect as we create tomorrow's next generation of STEM-age leaders. Immersive learning environments enhance learning by adding work-based learning content that is interactive and engaging, offering students the opportunity to be immersed in high-stake environments with low-risk consequences while practicing and learning skills by doing. The MediCorps Immersive Learning Center supports an innovative model, creating a career roadmap linking secondary education to higher education and the workforce. Programming inspires active learning experiences while boosting creativity, bridging the gap between complex topics, and connecting students to work-based learning skills. The Community MediCorps initiative addresses issues that relate to equity, diversity, and inclusion. There are significant consequences to limited access to healthcare services, health outcomes, and health equity for underrepresented minority patients in underserved communities. Youth who identify as racial or ethnic minorities are less likely to be exposed to and less prepared for a range of STEM-age careers, and we know there exists a long-term need for skilled and credentialed STEM-age workers. Experiential hands-on learning is critical throughout K-12 and higher education. The activities created in partnership with the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences and eReal are appealing to young learners. They spark curiosity, connect key concepts while learners are having fun, and allow learners to work at their own pace and to their level of proficiency. The Community MediCorps program is launching in the 2022-23 academic year, and our vision is to introduce innovative, immersive learning to facilitate activities that promote critical thinking through interactive experiences that allow for a greater depth to student learning. Planned research initiatives will provide opportunity for investigation and analysis for future educational contributions.
Okay, so I shared this video because a couple of the people that were speaking are directly involved as team leaders also within this project, and in my opinion, it's better knowing from their own direct voices what this project is. Basically, is STEM education for young students that are expected to not to be so, let's say, for them easy to approach STEM-related careers. So this type of project is mainly aimed at engaging students, like the recorded voice of Linda was saying, that many times are representing minorities that are really in need to try to be facilitated to get a little bit closer to the STEM related domain. To do so, we are approaching them school by school, traveling not the entire Virginia, but a huge number of dance, in order to have them jumping into the track for at least 30 minutes, in order to have them immersed, facing an interactive screen, challenged by avatars, challenged by digitized learning objects that are 360 degrees rotable, and that are allowing them to live in, partly to really influence challenging situations like the ones that healthcare professionals are expected to live and sometimes to manage inside surgical theater or inside settings from the emergency medicine. In this case, we were looking at a young student that occurred in a sport traumatism, and that started, let's say, a journey from the football field till the rehabilitation room with hard time inside an XR room and another hard time inside an operating room. Each time, the students are asked by the avatars that are performing all the scenes in order to provide their advice, in order to suggest the avatars how to behave within those scenarios. Students are at the same time provided with inputs, let's say, knowledge related tips using tablets and sometimes their own mobile devices in order to pop up relevant tips and relevant know-how that sometimes a young student, age 15, 16, or 17, like in our case, may not be aware of. So there are helps, there are cognitive aids distributed during the experience. The experience is a 30-minute experience expected to be really challenging within teams composed of 5 people each. 3 teams, in total 15 students, sometimes competing and mainly cooperating each other inside the track, because they are facing 3 different interactive screens. Each screen is embedded with a proximity sensor, laser device that is enabling gesture shaping. So students are expected to interact with the avatars both vocally and by the flick of their hands in order to perform actions that are happening inside at least one screen, sometimes that are happening within 3 interrelated screens. For example, they have to perform a cooperative game. It's a surgical room-related game during which they are expected to share knowledge about the main surgical tools. They are expected to perform jigsaw puzzle. They are expected to recognize shapes and names of those surgical tools, and they are expected to learn how to use tools and which tools are the most important ones inside a surgical theater. Another activity is about X-rays. Students are expected to interact by the click of the hands again with X-rays representations. Sometimes they are split in 8 pieces. 8 pieces means they are a puzzle. students are expected, first of all, to cooperate in order to build all together the wall image, putting and linking together the 8 puzzles pieces. Then they are expected to rotate 360 degrees the overall image they were able to rebuild, reconstruct, and they are expected to cooperate in order to learn more also from each other. Basically, it's a cooperative learning. Something about the parts of the human bodies that are represented inside the X-rays representations. At the times, students are expected to interact with avatars, like this lady. I'm about to share my screen. This lady is a lady we are working with since 2019. We call her Anna. She's a digital human, and she is interacting with real human beings because she's programmed to do so with a system that is recognizing all the vocal and audio interaction and is also transcribing all the spoken words, like you can see at the bottom left side of this chart. Inside that 360 degrees immersive environment that is designed by Unity, graphic engine that is behind the most important multimedia content like video games or last and the next generation educational content, as well as it's enabling tips sharing and knowledge sharing in general. Give example by post-its that may be pop-up by all the people that are working and interacting inside this scenario. So with this lady, the young learners that are working inside the George Washington University track are experiencing challenging situations and are learning how to deal with unforeseen circumstances, like in this case, an alpine environment. We have other environments, indoor or outdoor. Each of these environments are usually putting the learners within a scenario that is expected to be managed by very young learners that have to activate all the cognitive resources they have as a team, not only individually, in order to solve all the situations that they have to manage. I was saying before some words about the puzzle, the demonstrable puzzle. This is one of the puzzles that students or learners are expected to handle inside the track. As I was saying before, it's an 8 pieces jigsaw puzzle that to be solved, at least ideally, requires knowledge sharing among all the teammates, so among all the learners, expected to cooperate in order to solve challenging situations, because if you think that the average age of the learners is 16, sometimes 15 or 17, we are talking of young learners facing a medical imagery that is quite complex, to be understood and navigated inside the track. This is the inside of the track. We already saw during the previous video. Is in between a futuristic classroom and let's say a leisure place where lights, where sounds, where the screens, the interactive screens, are making quite adventurous the learning experience that the students are expected to perform going around and mainly really deep diving inside STEM education related topics. In our case, mainly healthcare STEM education topics that the students are expected to face to deal with. This was the first rendering of the track, approximately drafted 2 years ago, and above you can see a virtual patient, another virtual patient that today is performing inside the track. And this is the last slide with all the names of the people that were and are mainly involved within this project. And the same title is also related to a short paper that in case you would love to have further information about this project, you can find because it's a paper that is attached to all the material from the ideas. Okay, I think we have some time in case questions should arise. I'm available also just in case your questions, or if you have thoughts, insights, something to share among us now, lively online, please. This is your turn. Bruce is asking how we are measuring the success. There is a final questionnaire. The questionnaire is into Mentimeter, our website. So first of all, students are asked to answer some questions about the program itself, and a few of them are about healthcare-related contents that they are expected to have been exposed during the time inside the track, so approximately half an hour, in order to have a first and deep understanding from our side, so let's say the teaching and the instructional design side, about their main takeaways. Then, in the coming years, because this is the very beginning of this project, we are expected to have back the same students inside the different scenarios, again displayed within the same track. So we envision the students using the previous knowledge in order to solve new problems. So let's say a short purpose, a short program, a multi-step program inside the track, year after year, something like a 3-year program at least, in order to have the same students at least 3 times inside the track, half an hour each time, enabling us, the instructional design team, to understand the average degree of memorization and the average knowledge, let's say technical knowledge related to STEM topics that were delivered maybe 1 year before or 2 years before. So far, this is the way we are expected to measure. And Bruce is right in the sense that the online students. Yeah, oh, it's me thanking Bruce and thanking all of you for attending this session about the George Washington STEM mobile lab.
Thank you, Dr. Salvetti. That was a really cool presentation. Both of them were really cool. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We're going to take a couple of minutes to transition to the next speakers now. So I'm going to figure out how to move you backstage and switch the stages around. Thank you.
You're on stage.
I know.
They want to know,
And the next one,
what am I going to grade it on, and let me finish that, and let me do no more than that.
Who's the next?
Bruce and Todd.
Constant, all the historic.
Yep, we had the countdown, and here we are.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so for the next presentation, we have Bruce Cronquist and Todd Stone from Dell Technologies in Seattle. And so both of them will be telling us about how Dell's Modernized Learning Initiative has reimagined the learning experience for training processes. So I'll leave you two to it.
Great, thanks so much. Thanks for your help, Christine. So yeah, you'll see 2 links that I've gone ahead and pasted into chat, and they're up on screen for anyone there in person. The first one is the actual toolkit. It's a handout or job aid you can go ahead and take with you, but we'll be talking about it in about 5 or 6 slides. But also the second link is a survey we'd like you to go ahead and fill out. And if you can do that sometime during the presentation, and we'll go over the results at the end. But if you want to look at the presentation, oops, there we go. Actually, can't go and pull it up. That's fine. We'll hide that toolbar. So yeah, we'll go ahead and, are you ready, Todd?
Yep.
Ready to kick this off? Great. So thanks everyone for showing up. This is Modernized Learning here at Dell. Give you a little bit of history. So I'm Bruce Cronquist. The other person on the camera is Todd Stone, my cohort in crime. You probably read our bios, so we won't go back over them. But the main thing to take away from them is that both Todd and I are part of the transformation of the learning, design, and development here at Dell Technologies. We're senior learning consultants, and we help oversee the pilots and projects in the Education Services Department for our Education Services employees. And if you're not familiar with Dell, well, we love data. Here's a few numbers for you. If you look at your laptop, our data says there's about a 30% chance that Dell's name is on it. That proves that, depending on how old you are, that not everyone got a Dell. I think our marketing department will have to do something about that. If you look at the number of Dell employees, there's about 133,000 of them. There's about 650 of us in the Education Services Department. So that breaks down to about 105 employees per Education Services employee. But we actually work as a bunch of small, agile teams with 1 program manager, 1 product owner, and a couple of developers. So we're actually a whole bunch of hundreds of small L&D teams. And if you've ever heard about the number 9,000, our education services is actually ISO 9000 certified for training, which I thought was kind of cool. I'd never heard of that until I started here at Dell. So Todd, what do you have to add?
So to add to that, I'd just say, yeah, our organization is called Dell Technologies Education Services. Bruce was saying we have 205 employees. The current teams that we're working with, we have like 12 different training teams. And these teams create training, technical training for like our support teams. So if you call into our call center and speak to one of our support technicians, that's training for them. It's field technicians if any of our technicians are going out to fix stuff out in the field, and also our system engineers that are helping clients, customers set up their systems. The trainings usually include setup. We call these rack and stack trainings, where our service engineers are going in and setting up servers. Also administration training, so how to administer those servers. We also do performance tuning, making those servers perform better, and then also troubleshooting. So if anything goes wrong, how to fix that. All right, so let's look at some of the history. So just give you some context, we merged, Dell and EMC merged in 2015. So we all got Dells. We needed to, when we made this merger, we had these two separate training organizations that were coming together. So we really needed to clean house. And what we did is we looked at the trainings that both teams had, the different trainings. We identified things that we were doing well. We also found a lot of things that we weren't doing well and where we could improve. We also needed to know our new audiences, this new organization. So we conducted interviews to really learn about our audience, learn what their needs were, what their learning needs were, what they liked, what they didn't like. What we found out, just a few of the things we found out, were a lot of our customers wanted shorter trainings. They didn't like these big, long trainings. They wanted something that could fit within their daily workflow. We also found out a lot of our customers couldn't afford to take their employees off the floor and send them to these long, multi-day trainings, sometimes weeks at a time, in-person trainings. So they wanted more online and more flexibility in how they were able to consume the training. Within all this, we were also looking at how to create high-functioning teams, because we had our team, all these teams that were coming together and merging. So we really needed to figure out how we could work together and be high-functioning. So we did a employee skills inventory. So we just looked at everyone's skills and found out what we all had as a group. We also looked at breaking down development silos, because within both of our organizations, our development teams would work as these small individual teams. But what we found is a lot of times these teams were doing repetitive work or doing the same work that other teams were doing. So we were looking at how we could break down those silos. We also looked at investing in new tools that could help us with collaboration and with developing in a collaborative environment. And then we got rid of old tools that didn't serve our needs anymore. We also moved more toward, or not more, but we moved fully into an agile project management structure. So we had been doing waterfall project management. This way with agile, it just let us, as the name implies, be more agile and be able to move quicker. We also were doing all this with an eye towards the future. We were looking at how we could take our new training organization and make that a training organization of the future. Also how this could benefit our customers. So the first thing we did was we met in Minnesota in balmy January. And yeah, we met and we just brainstormed. We thought about like, what does a learning organization of the future look like? And just threw out ideas and did a lot of planning. When we were doing this, we were focusing, a lot of our planning was around, well, it was based on adult learning theory. So we were looking at David Kolb's experiential learning theory. We were looking at Malcolm Knowles' principles of andragogy. We looked at Edgar Dale's cone of experience. And we also looked at James Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of training evaluation. So once we did all this brainstorming, got ideas out there, we made a plan of what it was going to look like for that training organization of the future. We then broke down into smaller sub teams, and we had a process development team. So this team was one that came together and developed this process. We also developed a lot of the templates and the documentation we would use to develop training in this new way. We also had process training teams. So we had our own internal teams we had to train to go train our employees across Dell. And then we identified pilot teams. So pilots were really big in this because we didn't want to just go and launch to the larger organization. So we looked at small little teams where we could test out new things, see if things worked or didn't work. The benefit was that by testing out with all these different teams, we got a bunch of different ideas from these teams of how things worked and how they didn't work. The downside was everyone sort of did things a little differently. And so as far as the quality and the standardization, that suffered, and has been something that we've had to come back to and look at. All right. So what is modernized learning? Let's see. So we had 4 different pillars when we did this. The first one, topic-based learning. Next one, experiential, personalized, and next generation curation. And I'll go into more details in these separate pillars in the presentation. But right now, I'll just give you an overview of what these were. So topic-based learning was about creating smaller courses. We heard that our customers didn't have time for these large, big courses. So we looked at how we could make them smaller, cut out a lot of the bloated content, and really focus on what learners need to do versus what they need to know. We also were looking at a modularized development process where, sort of like a box of Legos, you could have a small little course that focused on one small little topic, but then you could add these topics together to create a larger, more encompassing course, and then also be able to search for those different topics in a searchable library. Another thing that we did is we looked at how this could shorten our release cadence for training. We're always having to do training on new products as they update and come out. So one of the goals as a high functioning team is how we could develop faster and get that information out to our customers in a quicker manner. So this micro learning really helped us make smaller courses. It helped us have a predictable cadence, which also helps with resource planning across our different teams. Then we also looked at experiential, really looking at the work that David Kolb has done around experiential learning. We were looking at how to create more hands-on, more learning activities that focused on doing versus just the knowledge or the knowing of the information. We also create a library of experiential learning activities. So our developers could go to this library based on what they were trying to do, the skills they were trying to teach in the course. They could search through this library of different activities. And this is a library that also developers could add to. So it created this community and bubbled up a lot of great activities that our different development teams could use across Dell. We also were looking at augmented reality and like extended reality technologies. So like VR, AR, 3D simulations. We were really looking at how we could take that experiential piece and transition it to online. So in a remote environment, people could still get that sort of hands-on activity or that active learning. We also looked at personalized learning. So we were looking at how we could, instead of throwing everything at the learner, we wanted to make it more personalized and more strategic. So we identified, first we looked at how our learners internally were learning. And we saw that a lot of them, they weren't taking our training that we had created. They were actually going out to YouTube or Google and finding white papers on different stuff to meet their learning needs. So we identified this as informal learning. And then we created a system, or the system we used was EdCast. And so we built this platform where we could curate all these different informal learning resources and bring them together and let our employees share these resources with others and create their own learning paths based on some of the resources they've been able to curate. We also looked at skill-based assessment. And so this was within the training that we developed. We looked at how could we let learners skip past some of the content that they already know and not have to sit through a long training, but be able to take an assessment up front, and then based on the results of that assessment, be able to skip to the points in the training that they still needed to learn. This also helped us with just internally with our organization. We assessed all the skills of our employees, and we looked at where there were opportunities where someone assessed and rated themselves really high on a skill. Maybe they could serve as a mentor or coach for some other employees that maybe rated themselves lower. It also helped our managers identify where we needed to upskill our development teams. Then the final one was next generation curation. So the whole idea around this was instead of creating content from scratch every time, look at what we could reuse that maybe we created in some other courses, be able to reuse that content and also be able to curate content from other resources, outside resources, and use that instead of creating a whole new training. The whole idea was to just reduce the time that the development teams would need to create these trainings.
Awesome, thanks. Let's take a look at actually some of specific examples of each of the pillars. So remember, the first pillar of modernized learning is topic-based learning, or TBL for short, and it has been the foundation that's helped us modernize our learnings. Simple steps are: you take all the content, divide it into the need to know and the nice to know, prioritize the need to know, and then just teach the need to know. We can show the learner where and how to find the nice to know information. An example might be driving your car. How to brake the car is a need to know, but changing the flat tire, that's a nice to know. The user can go look up a video on YouTube or read the user's manual. Either way. So topic-based learning has let us shift into smaller task-based trainings. So what you see on the screen here is a tool-based training called Ingenious. And if you look, here's the original topic, or the original course. It was 48 topics over 51 pages. It took about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. CSAT, or the satisfaction number, was an 84%. Well, our goal is 95%, so we were not meeting our own internal CSAT numbers. The course is bloated, didn't work well on a mobile device, and also didn't meet the Dell branding guidelines in terms of colors, accessibilities, and things like that. This is the old course. Let's take a look what the new course looks like. Here's what the new course looks like after applying TBL to it. So it's now just 16 topics over just 25 pages. So the course is shorter. We have only the topics that are immediately applicable by the call center agent. It's easier for the learners to consume when they happen to have some time. For example, a couple of minutes between support calls, they can take just one of these modules. And then they can also take it at the time of need, such as when, for example, when they are taking receiving an inbound call and they're not quite sure how to do a warm transfer, they can look that up really quickly in the training and then carry out that action. It's also nice that it works on a mobile device. So a lot of our agents have their phones, their own personal phones next to them. They can go in and take the training on that while working on their laptop with the customer. The CSAT has also started climbing from the older, as all the old lower evaluation numbers start falling outside of our reporting range. And we're trending towards about 92%. So we still need to make a few changes to the training, but it is heading in the right direction. So besides creating smaller reusable topics, the bonus is that we can actually iteratively release smaller learning objects for the learner. So we don't have to release the whole training at once. We can start releasing the modules one at a time. It's nice because this gets the content to the learner sooner. We can start achieving some measurable improvements in the learner's job versus waiting months or even a year for some of the larger projects that we are trying to create. We can also get feedback sooner. If you're familiar with Agile, it's a retrospective. We can learn about our mistakes sooner, and if we aren't on the right track, learners are definitely going to let us know, and we can make those changes. So the learners aren't the only ones who benefit. The stakeholders also benefit because we can now show them something and show the progress, saying, here's the first module, here's the second module, and we can show that we're starting to deliver on our commitments. For the Education Services Department ourselves, another bonus of TBL is the reusable learning objects, as Todd had mentioned. We can create these objects and reuse them throughout multiple courses as needed. Again, think about Lego bricks trying to build a wall. The learner can take a single brick or a topic of learning, or can assemble multiple of these topics into larger multi-topic trainings. In our earlier car example, braking applies to all cars and trucks and can be reused in training whether you're training a commuter or race car driver. But in the case of this training, the receiving an inbound call, that module is here in the tool training, but it's also available in the how to do your day-to-day job course. There's a bit.ly link at the bottom of the screen, and I've also gone and pasted it in the chat. And that's a paper that Todd and I have published that goes into a lot more detail into TBL. So if you're interested in it, feel free to go ahead and take a look at that. So the second pillar of the modernized learning is experiential. And again, as Todd had mentioned, it's based on we use here inside of Dell. But HappyAct, it sits over videos and allows you to do simple branching, unscored assessments, and things like that. The next one, there we go. So if you go ahead and open up the toolkit, the link that I pasted earlier, and that's for you to go ahead and take home. That's the actual experiential learning toolkit that we use here at Dell that we've handed out to our developers. And mentioned earlier, experiential learning is a collection of activities that allow the learner to practice what they're learning. In here, you'll see the actual 8 activities that have been approved by our governance board, more on that in a little bit, and that work in all the development tools that we have here at Dell that work on our LCMS and LMS. So experiential, or practice activity, it has to be part of every learning module and every course that we go ahead and produce these days. That's a requirement. If you look at the toolkit, you'll see the rows are all the different possibilities, the interactive video, case studies, flashcards, and so on. Each of the columns in it represent, what it is, what skill, or we call it standard offering components that it works for best, how to use it, which tools, governance information, and a thing we call effort and value. And what that is the effort is how hard it is to create this object. And also, what is the value of it? How valuable is it going to be to the learner? Also, it doesn't show here, but in the handout, you'll see that we have columns for directions for virtual classroom instructors and also instructor-led classrooms, if these are being done at that time. If you want to see it, kind of look at one in a little bit more detail, here's what's called a scavenger hunt and how to go about using it, example in the effort value. That video demo I shared earlier was actually a scavenger hunt. It's helping the service engineer how to find that information in the document that's attached to the training. It's the exact same form that the service engineer will use in the field when setting up their customer's storage device. Now we are limited. If you notice, there's only 8 activities here, and those are the only activities that are supported right now by our LMS and that have also been approved by our governance team. Our learning management system, Saba Cloud, can only allow certain activities for it. Example of an activity that's fairly popular these days is to have the learner identify and curate content. Our version of Saba doesn't allow this, but the EdCast platform, one of our other LMSs, actually does. Now, in terms of governance, any experiential activity in our toolkit has to be reviewed and approved by our Education Services Governance Board and our Quality Board. The fun of large corporations, having policies and procedures that we have to go out and follow. So there's probably plenty of experiential learning methodologies that you've used in your instructional design or training endeavors. If you spend a little bit of time, I bet you can think up of lots of experiential learning activities, more than just the 8 we shared. You'll probably come up with 10 or 50 or even more than that. If you want kind of a hint or tip and trick on how to go about choosing from the pool, there's something a little bit off topic that I love to share. Is what's called learning battle cards. We don't use them at Dell yet, but we're definitely trying to get there. They're my shiny ball these days. So learning battle cards, you see a collection of them there in the picture along the left. Each card represents a different learning approach. On the face of the card, the middle picture, is basically an acronym, the name, an icon, and a tag cloud that defines when this methodology is best used. The tag cloud is based upon kind of a wisdom of the crowd. On the back of each card, or the image you see on the right, is additional information about that methodology. You'll see the usability in the 7 windows of instructional design in the top right corner. You'll also find the type of card in the middle, and the 5 characteristics in the form of kind of like power bars. So the authors of Learning Battle Cards and I have no stock in the company or anything. It's just, I think it's kind of cool. They've also created L&D games that L&D groups can play with these cards, and it go ahead and create more impactful learning solutions. There's also mirror boards that support it, and a lot more. That's just kind of something that's cool. So you may be wondering how we've gone about training our education services employees on experiential learning. Well, we developed the Modernized Learning badged course in our Dell Learning Studio, or our implementation of the EdCast platform. The badge is part of the team's professional development. So the topics include focusing on the need to know, storytelling, making interactions accessible for learners with differing abilities, how to make your course mobile friendly, things like that. And in case you were wondering, yep, each of those topics contain an experiential component. Well, why wouldn't they? All right, Todd, over to you for the next two pillars.
All right. So the next one was the extended reality. So this is like augmented reality, virtual reality, and 3D sims. So this we were starting to look at extended reality when the pandemic hit, and the pandemic really pushed the project forward even quicker. We really wanted to, since we transitioned all to virtual delivery for all of our training, we were looking at how could we incorporate those experiential, those hands-on or virtual hands-on activities in our online courses. So we looked at augmented reality. The use cases, we couldn't really define good use cases, and the ROI wasn't there. So the amount of money it would cost to invest in it, on top of how it could be used by our field service. We'd seen ways where they could maybe blow up diagrams on a tablet or a phone. But when we really started talking to the service engineers, they're like, well, I don't want to hold a tablet up when I can just go to a paper that I can print off and I can read a diagram. So we decided that the ROI wasn't there for augmented reality. We looked at virtual reality, and we could definitely see use cases where VR would be handy to teach technicians how to rack and stack, how to build servers, and how to cable them, put the right cables to the right spots. But the cost was still high, and still is. Equipment is a barrier, having to ship the equipment around to different locations. But also the cost of the equipment, it was still a little high. But we have defined the way we could use it and what we would like to do with it. So we're keeping our eye on it and just waiting for some of the costs to come down, and for the equipment to also become smaller and less cumbersome. What we ended up settling on were 3D sims or 3D simulations. So the reason we did this, it was low barrier to entry. As far as the software to create these, and what we would need for our users to be able to utilize them. We had what we needed. It's basically a computer, a desktop. You could even do it on a mobile phone. What we do is we would create these simulations. In the slide, it's an example of one of our simulations. You see the disembodied hand, and in this example, we're replacing a broken down server blade. And so this would be something that you would see on your desktop in your training, and you would move your mouse around, and that would control the hand, just like sort of in a VR environment where you'd be using your hands to move it. In this case, you're using your mouse and you're dragging stuff around, and you can move the objects around to get a better view. So this has been well received. A lot of our teams like this, and the nice thing about the 3D simulations is the same files that we use to create the simulations, we can later take those into an augmented, if we wanted to go augmented, or into a virtual environment and build off of those files. So we've already sort of done the first steps of development if we do decide to go down that path. All right, next one. So the next one was personalized. So I talked a little bit about this already, but we ended up getting the EdCast platform, and this became our home and the one-stop shop for all of our informal learning resources. So if we went and found like an infographic that was pretty informative, and we wanted to share that with others, we could create a card in the EdCast platform. We call it in Dell, our internal name is Learning Studio. So within Learning Studio, you could create a card and it would have a link to that resource, or maybe it's a YouTube video that you found, or it could be a white paper or a website. So you create these cards and all employees have access to be able to create these cards. Another nice thing is you can put these cards into, you can create your own learning paths. And in the example, you may be able to see it over to the left of that. I've got my learning paths there that I've created. And then you can put these cards into them and build your own paths. You can also share these paths with your managers. Managers can create these informal learning paths if they want and can assign those out to their staff. The nice thing about the platform is it gives us that ability to have some of that pure learning where you're able to find resources and share them with your peers. You can leave comments, talk about what you like, maybe what you didn't like. So you have the ability to rate these resources. And so through the wisdom of the crowds, hopefully all the stuff that's rated high bubbles up to the surface where people can find them. So the next one was, it's also personalized. This was the skill assessment piece that I was talking about. So this is done in a platform called Workday. And so what we were able to do is managers were able to have a set of skills that they could evaluate their team members on. So we would get an email from our managers and it would have these different skills that we could rate ourselves on, either whether we didn't feel competent in it or we felt extremely competent or maybe adequate. And so if we didn't feel adequate or incompetent, that was an opportunity for our managers to realize, okay, maybe there's some learning opportunities for this employee. If we felt we were competent or maybe we're an expert in that skill, that was an opportunity to identify these people as people that could be potential mentors or coaching for other employees. We also looked at personalized as far as like skill assessment in the trainings that we created. Some of the trainings that we took ourselves, we had seen this where you would have a long training. It would look like a long training, but you do the skill assessment up front, and that would let you skip through a lot of that training that wasn't necessary, that you could basically test out of. And so we thought, oh, this is a great idea. Let's do this in our own trainings. So we piloted this in across a couple different teams where we have the learner do this little pre-assessment up front, the skill assessment, and then based on the results, they're able to skip to sections that they need to take and not have to take other sections that they tested well on. All right, so the next one is next gen. We call this next generation curation. It's basically curation. So the idea was, how could we help our developers find resources that they could use so they didn't have to start from scratch every single time and reinvent the wheel? So we wanted to create a searchable catalog, like a database, an online database, where our development teams could add the resources that they use and then be able to share that. Other development teams could come into this catalog and see what other development teams. So this helped break down the silos and helped with collaboration. But it also helped speed up the development times because we now were able to find resources that we could use instead of, in some cases, we didn't even have to create a new training because we could use some content that was already used, or we could reuse content that had been developed for another course, but we could then copy that content and use that in the new course that we were trying to create. So the whole idea was to save time and to just give our development teams access or purview into what resources are out there.
As I mentioned earlier, Dell is a metrics-driven company, sometimes to a fault. So here on the screen are the metrics and how will they change with the implementation of modernized learning here at Dell. As it turns out, measuring any change besides Kirkpatrick level 1 is actually tough. We don't have any direct metrics, but we do have some indicating metrics that show improvements. So let's actually go take a look at those now. So here are some of the indirect measurements for some, but not all of the pillars. The first row you see, the active or advanced digital learning. The answer to the question, does the course have an experiential component for each topic? As you can see, we're just falling short of our goal of 80% of all new and major course updates. Up until this quarter, minor updates to courses, such as fixing a broken link or updating a screenshot, didn't require for us to add an interactive component. We actually should be reaching the goal this quarter. The main issue we're having is to completely refactor an old course using TBL, and adding interactivity takes time and resources. If you look at our catalog, we have over 38,000 pieces of training that Education Services is responsible for. You may ask why we're not shooting for 100% of our courses to have that experiential component. Well, some of the content we produce is not an official like e-learning training course, and hence doesn't need to have an interactive component. Examples are what we call SPRs, or single page references. You can think of them as a PDF job aid. There's also assessments and knowledge transfers where our engineers do a brain dump about a certain feature. These today follow the same publishing process as our typical training courses, but our reporting system can't distinguish the difference, hence the 80% goal instead of 100%. For the first row in the lag column, you see that we're just at our goal of 95% CSAT. Yeah, you read that right. Our goal that we work on is 95% of the satisfaction numbers. Looking at the learners' comments and entering course improvement tasks into our product backlog is an area myself and other product owners spend a lot of time. The second row is TBL, or topic-based learning, and today all courses have to be done using the TBL format. So it's a requirement to publish a course today. So the 100% is easy to maintain. Our on-time percentage, the lag indicator, is how many of our courses are published by our promise dates to our stakeholders. Third row is quality management. These numbers come from our content creation system called Acrolinks. And we set up extensive rules that are used to score the content that our developers create. Each area has a minimum score that must be met. And the score you see there is an aggregate of the scores from all of those areas across all of the courses that were published. One other number that's not on here, but comes from our Domo dashboard, is 81% of our courses are considered mobile friendly. I know you're going to ask probably next is what percentage of our courses are consumed on mobile devices? Remember that blank slide? Well, at present, we don't report on that number because we cannot track which types of devices people are using to consume our content. So, quality audits, quality standards, governance, where would a company be without all of these? Dell definitely is not an exception. While our development teams began creating smaller topic-based learnings, we realized that the consistency and the quality of those courses was falling short. Education Services, as a team, was looking for optimization through standardization, but it was soon observed that without the quality checks and governance in place, all these new TBL courses lacked a consistent look and feel and weren't really the best experience for our customer. If we started reusing multiple modules that had a different look and feel, it didn't really put the best light on Education Services. Our development teams were committing to quick turnarounds and meeting tight deadlines, but ended up publishing kind of subpar content. So to address these quality issues, a rigorous quality checklist, which you see on the screen, was created that all courses have to pass before being published. A governance structure was also put into place to create a quality standards committee. The committee is a representative body of developers from across the whole training organization. And the committee helps to set the policies around the quality content created and then helps address any quality issues that come up. Remember all those rules I mentioned that are in Acrolinks? Well, those are owned, in addition to the manual checklist, by the quality team. The quality team members also conduct audits quarterly and work with the peers to remediate or fix any quality issues that are found through both upskilling, mentoring, and coaching opportunities. The checklist you see here, you may notice there's tabs at the bottom. This is in Excel. And the columns show that we have the checks supporting, each column shows that there's a check supporting link to information on what that check is, a status column that's filled out by the reviewer, spaces for reviewer comments, rubrics, and so on and so forth. Each course goes through 4 levels of review and approval before publishing. First, the developer has to walk through it, and then a peer reviewer by another developer has to do it, and then myself or another product owner has to look at the content. And last but not least, the development manager has to look at the content and approve it. And all 4 levels must pass the content before it can be published. All right, Todd, over to you for the lessons learned.
All right. So the first lesson learned was pilot first. Definitely, if you're doing something like this, you want to test stuff out in small groups. Even if it's not at this large scale, it's always nice if you can test something out in a smaller setting. That way, if something goes sideways, it's a lot easier to correct and get back on track than if you launch it to the larger organization. So definitely pilot first. Next one was around data-driven decisions. So at Dell, like Bruce has said, we're data-driven to a fault. And we really had to look at how we could define success for this initiative, but also show that we had made progress towards our goals. So we really looked at data and looked at how we could capture data, how we could report out on data, how we could create dashboards on data so different teams could see what was going on and could see that progression. It also helped us identify directions to go. So a lot of decisions before were made on hunches or, this sounds good, maybe let's try this or let's try that. But that ended up, what we found is it wasn't always the best solution and often created costly mistakes. So the data really helped us look at patterns and maybe identify directions that we hadn't initially seen and pointed us in the right direction. So definitely on your initiatives, try to define data or find data that can help you decide the direction to go, but then also to help you show success in movement in your project. Next one was iterative development. So this was really part of the agile move to that agile development process and also just an agile mindset. So this is by iterative development, we're able to drip content out to our customers sooner than if they had to wait. A lot of projects before, training projects would take maybe 4 months, 5 months to develop and then would ship. With iterative development in Agile, we're able to ship stuff out in about a month and then create smaller release cycles where we can drip more content out. So this provides more value to our customers because they're now able to access the stuff that they really need right away first. And then we're able to get them the other content that maybe is not right up at the top of their list of importance, but can come down the list. We were able to get that out later. So it's really helped us be able to provide value to our customers. Next one was change takes time. And this was one where when we first started the initiative and the first initiative in the modernized learning was topic-based learning, we thought that would take maybe about a year and a half the most. We're still doing it 3 years later, I think. Parts of it. But what we found was a lot of this change takes time. We had pushback from our teams. Change, a lot of people don't like change, especially if they're comfortable with a way of doing things. It can really rub them. They don't like it. So we really had to stretch out how long these initiatives took and plan for longer periods. A lot of stuff, at least around Dell, is time boxed around the fiscal year. And what we found is we would be in the middle of these initiatives, and then by the end of that fiscal year, the new fiscal year would start, and these new initiatives would come down from top. And those would be the new shiny objects, and we'd lose traction on some of the stuff that we had been working on, and we're slowly plugging away. So we've learned to that change is going to take time and to really stretch these projects out and plan over a multi-year period. We also found that what helped was explaining the why. So Here's a plug for Simon Sinek and his book, Start With Why. Great book, and it really helped us really focus on why we were doing what we were doing and being able to explain that to our employees and really get them to understand the reasons behind what we were doing. So if you guys take these 4 lessons learned, our mistakes, learn from our mistakes, and use these, I think you're really going to set yourself up for success in the future.
So yeah, this is some information on, some of the downloads. We'll go to the links are also in chat, but also there's our contact information here, how to go about reaching us through LinkedIn or through our emails. We love having conversations, whether you want to, talk shop, you want a copy of the slides, if you're not able to get them off the conference website. I guess Christine had shared that they were sent out in a zip file before the conference, but also maybe sent afterwards. But yeah, are there any questions that folks have? Let's try and take care of the ones that are there in chat. But we'll go to leave the slide up. Let's go take a look at our survey results. And of course, this is live, so who knows what's going to happen. Oh, just still the one response. Okay, that's fine. Nothing interesting there then. So are there any questions in the room? If not, we'll call it a wrap. Thank everyone for showing up, both online and in person. I've been having fun at the conference. Hopefully everyone else is. But again, if you have any questions or anything in the future, feel free to reach out to us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for sharing your presentation. It was really cool. I learned a lot watching it.
Thanks. It was a success then.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so it looks like there aren't any questions, so we can end early. But we have your contact information now too. So if anyone has any questions.
Thanks. Christine, is this recorded?
Yes.
Are we able to? Is it something that we're able to access to watch later?
Yeah, okay. I think it'll be on email to info conference. Oh, send an email to info at the learning conference. Yeah.
Info learning.
Yeah, it's the email that you've been receiving emails from.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be cool. We would love to be able to show it to our managers, just so they're able to see what we're presenting on.
Yeah.
And they go, don't say that. No. Well, also, I noticed also during the practice session, if you revisit the link, the recording automatically plays.
That's right.
So I'll test that tonight to see if that's going to happen here or not later today. So I'll try that tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.